What a world, D-Dread on the mic with the BT12 Imperialdramon list for your retinas, because I know you guys been thirsty for it, so I've been cooking in the lab like Breaking Bad and finally got a list for you guys. So if this is a video for you as I go through my ratios, tech and all that good stuff, because this list is all about old gas just fully committing to the strat, then stick around and enjoy it. And if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, make sure you subscribe and turn the notification bell, because I do videos on the reg. So let's just dive straight into this. So going on with the eggs, it's going to be just the standard 4, and that's going to be your Digimon BT3. Realistically, we want to be just playing on that jamming. We're jamming like Bob Marley, and we're also drawing that one there as well, which is going to be key. Ideally, we just want to be drawing pieces in order for us to execute our combos flawlessly. So this is the reason why it is the best egg in slot. Now, going over to the rookies, the ratio is going to get a little bit crazy from here, but we are running 13. I feel like with any DNA deck, you want to be getting a rookie in hand for sure, in order for you to kind of commit to your strat quickly and efficiently, especially in this format. So rocking on with the new additional cards that we've got to this archetype is going to be your BT12 Vmon. Absolutely stellar, really good in what it does, because on play, reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Imperialdramon in its name, 3 in its traits, and 1 card with Davis in its name amongst them, and then bottom rest the deck, the rest. Really, really good in what it does, because it enables you to net 2 cards, being 2 key cards there as well. Ideally, what I had in line with this deck is ensuring that we just get our memory setter out quickly, because if you get that sweet 3, you're going to be just cooking all the way to get those W's. On top of that, it has a cool inheritable, which enables you to DNA at the end of your turn, which is just really good. It's similar to how like Mastermon operates. It's pretty much that. But having that at a rookie level is really, really good for this deck. So we do run that at 4. Then we got his compadre Wormmon up in the mix. We have knocked this down to 3, because ideally we don't want to be hard playing this. Reason why is because it does similar thing to what Vmon does, but it searches out Ken instead of Davis. Because of our Tamer lineup, we've only got essentially the dual Tamer, which has Ken in its name, which we may whiff on some other Davis Tamers, so we don't want that to be happening, but we do want to be essentially getting this in raising in order for us to essentially get those DNA plays off efficiently, especially when we are using the BT12 new tools that we've got in the champion levels. So we do run that at 3. Then going on to the kind of the best in slot rookies in terms of inheritables, when we kind of getting those DNA plays off and getting the absolute value, we're going in with the Labramon. We do run this at 3. The reason why we've actually increased this is because it's kind of out of archetype, but its inheritable works really well with what Imperialdramon is doing, because when attacking once per turn, if this Digimon has jamming, gain 1 memory. That's what we want to be doing, gaining that memory in order for us to do more DNA plays, especially when we get to our top end and leave the opponent with very little memory if we can. So we do run that there at 3, and then we do run the Vmon EX1 at 2. The reason why we do this is because it's part of the consistency. It's a really good inheritable, because once per turn, your turn, when this Digimon becomes unsuspended, during your main phase, gain 1 memory, which is pretty nice right there. There's a lot of unsuspending if you're not familiar with Imperialdramon when it first launched. It's pretty much similar, but we do have some new tools to kind of somewhat turbo up the Evo line more efficiently. So that concludes for our rookies. We are running 13. Going over the champions, we are running 11. So slightly higher than our standard, 10. So let's just go over some of the new kind of pieces that we've got in here. So going in with the new XVmon, really, really nice in what it does, because your turn, when this Digimon would DNA into a green Digimon card, gain 1 memory. So effectively, what can happen if you do have the inheritable from Wormmon or Vmon is that if you had this in your, obviously your top card that you've evoed into and you've passed a turn, maybe given 1 memory, you can obviously do the end of turn, depending on what mon, hopefully you've got like a Stingmon on field, you can merge them 2 together, get that DNA, and also gain that memory back so it keeps it on your turn. And then obviously then you can proc all the other inheritables and so forth. So really, really handy in what it does. It enables you to essentially DNA when it's not your turn, but regain that turn. Also, the Inheritable is pretty sexy because your turn, when this Digimon has Imperialdramon in its name or 3 in its traits, gains jamming. So, once again, we are playing that jamming keyword. It means that we can get some more draws off our Demi V. So, we do run that there at 1. And the reason why is because I still feel like EX1 Vmon is just so valuable in this deck if you want to be just going on that heavy aggression. But the other bit of spice that we do have in here for our hybrid, you know, we usually we go for Lobo for game. We also got Kumamon there as well. But I do like what Lanamon is providing here because obviously as any hybrid, it either is on top of a Tamer, treats it as a level 3. But it's when Digivolving doesn't necessarily require it to be on a Tamer, it is just a standard flat out effect. So, by placing a blue level 3 Digimon card from your hand to the bottom of this card's distribution source, one of your blue Digimon gains jamming for the turn, which is great. It's essentially what freaking what our XVmon is doing. And we can utilize some of the actual benefits of obviously having jamming in stack. Obviously, we do have our Labramon, but we can then gain a memory, which is sweet, which effectively has reduced the cost of this by 1. And then obviously then trigger some more DNA plays and so forth. I think this is actually a really nice little bit of spicy tech that we kept going on here, especially if you was planning to essentially, you know, push out with your rookie Evo into this. And then get a nice cheeky swing in. It just means that you've got more swings at the opponent before you even go into your DNA plays, which I find really, really interesting. So don't sleep on Milana right here. She's got something going on. And then we do have the new Sting. New Sting is pretty sweet. It's similar to what BT12 XVmon is doing. That same DNA mechanic and obviously gain 1 memory, mean that we can essentially like utilize the opponent's memory a little bit and just claw back and obviously get back on our turn and start clapping those cheeks. But the good thing on this is that the Inheritable, your turn, when this Digimon has Imperialdramon or in its name or 3 in its traits, gains piercing. Some really cool, interesting kind of interactions that we can kind of do with this in order for us to kind of control the board, especially when we do get into our top end, which is going to be very nice indeed. So we do run that there at 2. Obviously, we do want to increase that kind of Sting online because, you know, before we literally was just relying on the starter deck 9 Stingmon, which I still say to this day is probably still best in slot, because if you're at 3, and that's what we're trying to do, aim to get that nice memory setter out, so we're always at 3, it means that we can actually play this champion down for the cost of 3, which is great in order for us to DNA, pop off, all that good stuff. But the thing that made Stingmon fantastic back in the heyday of BT8 was that it's when attacking and Inheritable is that it just enabled you to get some awesome draws. Once this gets going, the opponent's just got so many cards in hand, it's easy to kind of execute the combo and draw into Hammer Sparks to extend your plays and so forth. So I still find that this is best in slot for the Stingmon. If you can get that obviously in your stack, you're going to be cooking right there. And then lastly, we do run the EX1 XVmon, just because once again we want to be just getting that early aggro in, especially when we kind of go into top end. We just want to keep chipping away. There's been games where I've first Imperialdramon and it's pretty much gone through 4 checks in one freaking sequence of it going to the Mega. So this is definitely a facilitator on that. Obviously, if you have Labramon in the source, you just gain that memory back, you're getting a free swing in, and then it's Inevitable also grants that jam in there too. So, you know, Bob Marley all day, every day, that is what we're wanting, and that's what we love to see. And that's why we do run 11 champions in this deck. Then going on to your ultimates we are running 7. I still feel like Imperialdramon right here from the start of the deck is best in slot in what it does, just because obviously you're able to DNA, which is sweet, and then if you have DNA'd, you're able to return one of your opponent's Digimon with 6000 DP or less to the bottom of the opponent's deck, which is just so good. So good right here. And then when attacking once per turn, you're able to unsuspend this Digimon, which once again, if we are getting those inheritables cracking off. Obviously, if we do have EX1 Vmon in stack, that means that we're just going to be gaining memory because we've resuspended. If we've got Labramon there as well, and we've attacked with jamming, means that we're getting another memory. It just makes it really cost efficient for us to kind of climb up the ladder and leave the opponent with very little memory as possible. And obviously, if we do have Stingmon as well, then we're just getting additional draws because it's classed as a new Digimon, and all the inheritables are then live again. So still best in slot, personally, I think. Do run that there at 3. And then we do run a 2-2 on the new support right here. So let's go over to the new Imperialdramon, which is still spicy, still got that DNA. Then when digivolving, so not necessarily, well, yeah, when digivolving, trash the top 3 Digivolution cards of all of your opponent's Digimon, which is incredibly powerful, especially if you are climbing up to the new BT12 Imperialdramon Fighter mode. Then, if DNA Digivolving, 2 of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards cannot attack until the end of your opponent's turn, which is just shutting them down. It's like Dino B and Imperialdramon just swap their abilities right there. Really, really strong. And then, if it couldn't get any better, the end of attack is that if the Digimon has Imperialdramon in its name or 3 in its traits, then gain a memory. Beautiful. Really works well with the new Tamer support that we do have, because effectively the new Davis almost acts as a form of X antibody in a sense of triggering Evo mid attack, which is cool. So we do run that there at 2, and then lastly we do run the Dino B at 2 as well. Once again, still a pretty strong card, probably not as strong as the Imperialdramon, but its actual inheritable is really, really strong, and once again could work well on the top end. So when digivolving, if DNA digivolves, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and this Digimon gains 3000 DP for the turn. Then this Digimon may attack opponent's Digimon. So really good for in terms of that nice control, because effectively we are going to be at 11k DP, which is just massive. If we do have our BT12 Stingmon, we can pierce, which is even better. So really good stuff. And then the inheritable, your turn once per turn. When one of your Digimon with Imperialdramon in its name or 3 in its traits deletes an opponent's Digimon in battle, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. This is actually really strong top end. Really strong top end. And if you do have the BT12 Stingmon, you're going to be just doing a lot of controlling whilst not losing momentum. So we do run that there at 2, and I feel that's just a nice kind split. I think that's good for each situation that's going to go down. So let's go over to the ultimates. No, the ultimates, the megas. We do run 6 megas in this, and it was very tough to see what's best in slot and what works. And to be honest, this card is still a freaking menace. This really does kind of, if you've popped off really quickly and the opponent does not have an answer, because in this format a lot of decks are quite selfish in what to do. They just want to kind of stick to their game plan, but if they can't out your board, then freaking Imperialdramon's kind of won due to this card. So if you don't know, it does cost 4 to digivolve into, so it hasn't got like a reduction cost compared to the BT12 variant, but it's when digivolving is where it really comes in. So you may play 1 level 4 or lower blue Digimon card, or and as well, so technically playing 2 cards, 1 level 4 or lower green Digimon card from the Digivolution source of this stack, without paying the memory cost, which is massive. And this is why obviously you're probably looking at the ratios and thinking like, wow, this guy's not really got much removal going on. We've got cards that can steal turn and obviously make us pop off if we do get a bit greedy. But we do have ways to extend our plays in order for us to just DNA again and just pop off once more. It's crazy what we can be doing with this deck and just really can OTK quite swiftly. So we do run this at 3, and I feel like you could still use the new one. I think the new one is solid in what it does, but I feel like just getting more bodies out on field for you to just kind of pop off once more because you've drawn so many cards is a feasible strat there as well. So going over to the BT12 Imperialdramon fan mode, really strong card of what it does, and just enabling us to have an additional security tag and blocker all turns there as well, which is pretty huge depending on what colors we do have in source, which most likely we will have blue and green, so we would have met this condition. As well, if you are evoing on top of your Imperialdramon fan mode, it is a reduction cost of 2. Well, it costs 2 to digivolve into, which is pretty fine. But its main thing is really playing on the opponent not having any cards with Digivolution sources in. So this is where essentially your BT12 Imperialdramon really comes in, because it can just strip a lot of the sources from the opponent in order for this card to be an absolute deadly threat. Because when digivolving, suspend all of your opponent's Digimon with no Digivolution cards. So that's just flat out boom. Then return one of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the owner's hand. By returning one Imperialdramon Dragon mode from this Digimon's Digivolution card to the owner's hand, place all of your opponent's suspended Digimon at the bottom of the opponent's decks instead, which is powerful. We do love the whole kind of like, you know, bringing us back our resources, so it means that we can kind of run a lower ratio in terms of our Imperialdramon Dragon mode, because we do just get it back if we do Evo on top of this one, which is massive. And then all turns, obviously we do get an additional 1000 DP per color, so this is going to be obviously a 15k beat stick or blocker, which is pretty huge. And then we do gain that additional security attack there as well. So once again, there is some awesome cool mechanics that we can use with the new Davis that we do have, because we can kind of trigger the Evo into this, and then obviously then have its security attack plus 1, and if we do have a Davis and Ken now, then we can technically unsuspend because it's evoed, but it still kind of triggered the attack, but means that you can then block, which is cool. It's really some really cool interaction that you can be doing with this, which is amazing. So we do run that there at 2. So you're probably thinking, why is this boy back up in the mix? I still feel like this card has some pretty good value in what it does, just because if, depending on the actual stack that we have and the sources and so forth, we can be controlling the board quite efficiently, doing checks, and also still deleting the opponent's like field and doing essentially a safety check. So don't lose me here, guys. Trust me, this is some sauce. So Imperialdramon, similar Digivolution cost if you evo on top of a Dragon mode, just cost you 2. When digivolving, return one of your opponent's Digimon with 10,000 DP or less to the owner's hand, which is pretty good because Beelzemon is a thing. You know, if it's got the on deletion, say if Balmon's got the on deletion effect proc, ideally we don't want to swing into it. We do want to get that bad boy bounced, and this is what this boy can do. And then when attacking once per turn, if you have a blue card in this Digivolution card source, unsuspend one of your opponent's Digimon. If it has a green, then you're able to suspend the opponent's Digimon. So if you do have that Dino B, and you also have Stingmon with the piercing, means that this Mon can be just piercing through and technically doing 2 checks, which is pretty sick right there. And obviously, depending on how the opponent is, effectively, if I'm correct, I want to say that this is not end of attack. So yeah, so technically, because we've deleted something first, say if the opponent was on 1 security, we swung in to their Digimon, and we had piercing as well. We deleted that Digimon. Effectively, we could be able to trigger this trashed the source because we've deleted a Digimon, and then we've swung, and then technically we've swung for game at that point, which is pretty strong. It is a valuable strat that we can be doing. So don't sleep on this. I feel like it's got definitely some space. Ideally, don't get me wrong, you want to be going into this boy right here. I mean, look at him. He's the freaking drip master. But I do feel like there's some nice little bit of room for our old Imperialdramon if you do have him. So we do just run that at 1. Right, let's go over to the Tamers real quickly because this is, you know, pretty standard. So Tamers, Ken and Davis, not Ken Davis, just Davis, being the memory center, you want to be getting them out sharpish. If you can just get them out first turn, you're cooking. You're cooking because obviously you have that memory center. You can reveal top 3. You can get one blue card and 1 green card, Digimon card from the search, which is good. That's pretty much our whole line that we got going on, which is sweet. And also can search our hybrid there as well, which is just fantastic. And then that is it. It's done its service. Happy days. So ideally, strat, get him out sharpish, you're cooking. Then let's go over to the new Davis. So this, on paper, when I first saw it, I'm like, it's a bit mid. But it is pretty nice in what it does. And it can actually net you a fair bit of memory in combination with the memory setter, because start of main, if you have a Digimon with free trait or a Tamer with Ken in the name in play, gain a memory, it's a pretty much an easy target right here. If we do have Davis and Ken out with this, then we're just netting that memory. And then obviously Davis and Ken is quite a powerful Tamer in itself, because that can net you 2 memory. We can net a lot of memory through our Tamers, which once again is just going to make this deck just pop off. We just have a ton of memory, we're cooking, we're fine. But your turn, this is where it's kind of like, it's got that X-antibody kind of effect in a sense. So when one of your 2-color blue and green Digimon attacks, by suspending this Tamer, digivolve that Digimon into a Digimon card with Imperialdramon in its name from your hand for its Digivolution cost. This is where it gets really cool with some awesome combos, because you can just be flying into pretty much like your top end from your Dragon mode, or essentially from your Imperialdramon or your Dino B. There's definitely a lot of cool interactions that you can be doing with this card, and I think it's definitely something worth obviously having in there, especially just for that nice bit of memory gain. So we do run that there at 2, and then lastly we run this powerful son of a gun right here. This is just nuts in combination with the new Davis and this. There's some cool interactions that you can be doing, just ensuring that you can not be swung into, because you can unsuspend yourself and not be a target. But the thing that's really good with this is the fact that start of your main phase, if you have a Digimon with blue in play, gain a memory, and also if you have a Digimon with green in play, gain memory. So effectively you either net yourself 1 memory or you net yourself 2 memory, which with this deck, 2 memory seems like it's gonna be pretty probable. Then your turn, when one of your Digimon digivolves into a card Digimon with 2 or more colors, you may suspend this Tamer to unsuspend that Digimon. This is where it's really, really strong in terms of you just going in for the swing with your Imperialdramon, obviously then suspending your Davis and Ken BT12, obviously then going into your Imperialdramon Dragon or Fighter mode, and then you're able to then trigger this and unsuspend, which is pretty awesome right here. Also has some cool interactions with your HPD there as well, because effectively you could unsuspend that to get a free Evo, and then essentially suspend this to then unsuspend your fighter mode or your Imperialdramon Dragon mode. So it's really, really strong in terms of that, the interaction that you can do with this card. So definitely looking forward to seeing some awesome combos just with the new Tamer and also the previous support that we do have. So that concludes for the Tamers. We do run 7 when we're procking those off in security if we can. Then going on to the options, we're keeping it very light, very light. So Ice Wall, still a menace. I mean, run it at 1. God, I can't even fathom the time when we could run this at 4. Fucking hell. God, toxic as F. Definitely do not want that again. But just best in slot. It pretty much does what Hammer Spark does, just gain 2 memory if propped off insecurity, which is just annoying. And then when it comes clutch, when you need to just stop the opponent from just kind of popping through your security, because they lose 2 memory when they attack, which in this format we do have a lot of swings going on. Like Beelzemon just spawns out Impmon, so they just frantically going in swinging, so that could just stop the aggression from them. So Ice Wall is very, very strong. Very strong in this format. Then we do run 4 Hammer Spark. Just gaining that memory is just going to be key for us to do some awesome plays. Also, really takes the edge off of kind of throwing our Tamers out as well. If we do have to Hammer Spark, we just don't want to pass over too much, kind of choke them, but then ensures that we can, you know, they can't really do much on their turn, so we can just then pop off massively on our turn. So Hammer Spark really comes clutch, and once again, that security effect is just huge. It's just lose 2 memories, just it could just absolutely change the game completely. And then lastly, we do run 1 Hidden Potential. This just, oh god, every time I verse a green player, they always have Hidden Potential. It's just so freaking annoying. But boy, I'm going to enjoy using it, because it's just really handy in this deck in order for us to essentially go into dragon mode, spawn out Digimon for 0 cost, and then just enables us to pop off again and just do some crazy shenanigans with this. And obviously, if we do have the right Tamer set up, we can just unsuspend, and you know, it's all happy days from that point. And then security effect adds to hand. So even if it's in security, to be honest, I'd rather it be in security, because I know it's going to go into my hand. So once again, really good card. Can't imagine this card being at freaking 4 as well. Honestly, like Bandai was smoking crack when they thought that was good at 4. But guys, that concludes my deck profile of BT12 Imperialdramon. Let me know in the comments what you think. And guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash it with a like as standard. Really helps out the channel, and definitely do not forget to subscribe. But guys, that's your boy D Dread, off the mic.